Good evening. Welcome to the Columbus Municipal School District Board Special Meeting. Today is Thursday, December the 19th, 2024, and the time is 5 o'clock p.m. We do have a quorum. We have with us today Mr. Robert Smith, Dr. Josie Shoemake, myself, Dr. Cynthia Brown, and Reverend James Richardson is not, is not on yet, but he should be joining us via phone. We will have the invocation by myself, followed by the pledge. Please bow. Dear Lord, we come to you this evening first saying thank you. We thank you for new mercy and grace that you have bestowed upon each of us today. We ask that you bless this meeting and each individual as we make decisions regarding the Columbus Municipal School District. And we will continue to give you all the praise and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Please stand for the pledge. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, adoption of the agenda, policy BBB, policy BCBD. Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith, and I'll make the second. Dr. Brown, all in favor? Thank you. Item 4, consideration and/or discussion to approve the superintendent to travel to Hammond, Louisiana on December the 21st, 2024 to meet with Dr. Leonard Williams and Dr. Lorenzo Esther about grant funding. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll make the second. We have a motion by Dr. Shoemake and a second by myself, Dr. Brown. Are there any questions?
Yes, I'd be interested in hearing just a little bit about what's happening with the grant
Okay.
trip.
Well, these guys actually are grant funders and they write grants, and so lots of times in order to get grants, you have to know someone, and so these guys are in the know. I have worked with one of them before, and Dr. Esters. He has provided resources and connections to many of the grant opportunities that I've received, prior to coming here. We're seeking to get up to $6 million in grants for the Columbus School District. So,
Well, good luck.
yes, ma'am.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Any more questions for number 4? We have a motion from Dr. Shoemake and a second by myself, Dr. Brown. All in favor? Okay. And an abstain from Mrs. Young. Thank you. Motion passes. Item 5, consideration and/or discussion to approve the Columbus Municipal School District Learning Forward Professional Development Plan. Any questions?
Is Ms. Smith here?
Ma'am? I'm sorry.
I mean, I read through the plan. Can you give the board, some specifics concerning this plan?
Ms. Smith, step up to the mic. Get that mic right there.
To address the needs of each district, to make sure that across statewide that we're in alignment for what the teachers need. And it's kind of framed after the plan that was already in district from the information we have, and we kind of use some of the data pieces. And throughout the year, and the actual PD plan is fluent. It kind of develops, and it's actually not complete because as we end this 9 weeks and we look at some the needs for growth for some of our students and our teachers, we'll be adding to the plan. But it starts off based off the curriculum programs that we have, and we know we have like something like IXL, so we know we would offer teachers PD, some classroom management for some of our new teachers. But the goal of the plan is kind of framed expectations for the learning forward standards.
So is this a continuation of a plan that the district was already using?
Pretty much because the guidelines from MDE haven't changed. So we just kind of tweak the plan each year according to the data and the needs of our staff, because our PD this year doesn't look like it has in the past, because we have continually built up teacher capacity. So in some of those areas, we didn't need PD. And like we have for our reading curriculum, now we're like in our 3rd year of implementation, so we didn't have to do much PD for those areas. So it's just a fluent document from there. So it will vary according to the needs.
So can you see progress from the prior plan related to this plan?
Yes, because the data drives it. It drives that piece. Because as I was saying, the learning forward standards, they don't change, but you have the autonomy to tweak it for your district and your district needs. So as we move to this B district, some of our needs change. And we didn't need as much support. So we can, like now we have a heavily focus on SPED. So you see some SPED PD in there from MDE. And second semester, it's gonna look different from first semester.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Schubert?
Yeah, I just have one question. I'm slightly confused because we're approving the plan that starts on August the 5th and ends on February the 26th. So we've already done an entire semester without approving the plan?
Absolutely. So being transparent with you, Dr. Shoemaker, as we move through the process standards, I didn't know that the plan needed to be approved. So we had the plan in place. So as I received the process standards, and we wanted to get it approved because we start our PD actually July.
Okay, this just had, I thought it was August 5th.
Well, we had some summer PD that began in July, but
Okay.
when the teachers and the academic year actually starts, the PD picked up with that MTSS August 5th. I think
Okay.
I was the first session.
All right.
Okay, let me speak to that. She's referring to the process standards. Each December, we review the process standards. In this binder, you will see in the binder that you have that I'm going to present to you tonight, you will see something that says process standards. In those process standards, Mr. Chapman has placed the name of the responsible persons that are responsible for certain areas. And so when we begin to go through this is, if the Department of Education comes in to audit us, those are the things that they're gonna look for. And so when I came here, one thing I wanted to do is to make sure that we were always in compliance with those process standards. And so as we went through those standards, we noticed that we missed something. That should have been something that I've done it in the past. It should have been approved in the summer. It was missed, but thankfully, we have things in place to address it. And so I asked her to go ahead and put that on this agenda because we are, going through our process standards. And so that's why we have it there.
So if I can just follow on that, this ends February 26th, but you'll be doing an update
Correct.
later,
Correct.
early next year.
Correct,
Okay.
because the last session ends actually with our academic coaches, because throughout the year, we've been doing some district PLCs twice a month with our kindergarten, first grade teachers. So that's actually the last session because we entered to testing season. However, if the needs change and we need to have additional PD, because we're always in contact with administrators and getting feedback from our teachers when we meet with them, we'll have another session. But as of now, that is the last session that's in district. February 27th, and then we roll into our testing season, and
Okay.
so it's a fluent document.
Got you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And so it's just now coming to the board, like he said, because it was board approval. However, the superintendent and the administrators, they've had it since the summertime. I just didn't know it needed to be board approved, but it will be approved moving forward in the summer.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Smith, you
Yes, ma'am.
mentioned that it stops in February. Is that due to testing?
Well, that's due to what we had planned, because that is a series that's going on with our kindergarten and first grade teachers to build up our foundational grades. And so our academic coaches have been going in, working with science of reading, math strategies, and that's just with K and first grade teachers. So I think you see that last session is a session with kindergarten and first grade teachers. So that is the end of the series that we've been planning since the summer.
Okay.
So with SPED, I think they have a training January the 6th when we return, understanding the PLAT. As we go through that training, as Ms. Bailey works with her department, if we see some needs for SPED, then we'll reach out. I know I have a pre-K training coming up, some PD. I'm just waiting to get confirmation from MDE. That will be added, and we always share with the administrators when updates are made. And I always put like a revised date at the bottom.
Okay. And my last question, when I was reading through it, I noticed the secondary, teachers, are they getting anything in the next semester, or are they pretty much done this semester?
It just depends, because it's been ongoing as well. And then you keep in mind, we have PLCs every week at buildings. And so those agendas are shared with us, and we kind of keep track of that. We've had some sessions with Dr. Mims. It just might be on the district PD calendar, but it's just shared with us on Wednesdays when the principals convene their sessions. And that'll come out, that's a great question. That'll come out with some of our data talks that'll be starting in January when we return with principals. And those are some of the questions. How can the district better support you? What are some PD needs? And that's why we just kind of keep that docket fluent. Any other questions?
No more questions? All in favor? Motion passes. Item 6, consideration and/or discussion to approve Columbus Municipal School District Instructional Management Plan. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Mr. Smith. Any questions? All in favor? You have a question?
Yeah.
He's on now? Okay.
I had a quick question. It's basically the same. The cover sheet of this says, presented to the Board of Trustees for approval June 4th. Did we not approve it? Yeah, sorry.
What happened with that, we had that plan ready
Uh-huh.
June 4th. And I think Ms. Wilson had spoken to someone at MDE, and they said it did not have to be approved every year. So we never brought it before the board. And when I was going through the process standards, and one of the questions asked, when will the board approve? So I let
Oops.
Dr. Ellis know, I said, Dr. Ellis, we had the plan in place. We just were told it didn't need to be approved.
Mhm.
So we just got it on the board agenda. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So who said it didn't have to be approved by the board prior to?
Someone at MDE. She's not here, but we just, when we did not have to get it approved, we just didn't bring it before the board, but it had been ready since June.
So how did you find out it had to be approved by the board?
When I was looking through the process standards, each department, whatever falls up under your responsibility, to prepare for any future audits, you have certain criteria you have to follow, and just looking at the guidelines for the instructional management plan, one of the questions that asked was, board approval date. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it has to be approved every year. So I asked Dr. Ellis, can we put it on this agenda? And he said that was fine. So moving forward, that was going to be approved in some of the.
Both of them are usually approved around the same time. Because I've done her job before, and that was my job, and so they would be approved each year. And so when I found out, and she was going through the process standards, I said, this is something that we need to take care of, because it's approved every year. And typically, it's done around the summertime, right before August or somewhere around there before school starts. And
So it should have been approved in June.
it should
by the
have.
board.
It should have been, yes.
And to clarify, MDE doesn't specify a date. They just ask you when was it
Yeah.
approved. Because if you brought it for your board in January, that would be fine. They don't specify a date. They just, if you make any revisions, it specifies that you get it approved each year. So we didn't miss a deadline. We just didn't get it approved at the
Right.
beginning of the year. But moving forward, it will be in place in the summer.
Both of them will be approved at the same time. That's kind of what I'm used to. It keeps you on track, so that's on our list now, so we'll make sure that that's done.
We did approve that. We can move on. Okay. Moving to item 7, consideration and/or discussion. Did you have something, Dr. Schumate?
Yeah, no, I'm fine, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Wait, I do have something. Do you know if Mr. Richardson can hear us? Because we're not picking up his vote if he's on there, and I need to record that. Do you want to ask him how he voted?
Did he say yay? For item 6, the CMSD Instructional Management Plan? How does he vote? Okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
thank you, I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Moving to item 7, consideration and/or discussion to approve the athletic supplemental pay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Mr. Richardson. Any questions about that? All in favor? Mr. Richardson, how do you vote? Thank you.
Now we got it going.
Okay. Item 8, consideration and/or discussion to approve the staff personnel items. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll make the second. Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Richardson. Any questions?
Yes, Madam President. on,
Yes.
Item 4, Doc, this person just received their, AAA for the increase in pay. I'm assuming that they just received their AAA.
Any more questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, and so the two people who are requested to be released from contract, one is a breach of contract and one is GBOA number 3. That's, I assume, that's PSC, permanent change of station, military order. The one that's the breach of contract, does that person get dinged with MDE? Mm-hmm. Okay, and then for the permanent change of station, the military move, there's no penalty there, is there? Good, okay, thank you.
Okay. All in favor? Thank you. Mr. Richardson, how do you vote? Thank you. Moving to Mr. Smith, you want to recuse on 9. I'll do A and B together. Item 9 is the consent and/or consideration to approve the claims docket. Mr. Smith.
Yeah, that's just. Okay.
Okay. I'll do A and B together. Item A is paid accounts, payable claims for the board ratification, and B is the held accounts payable claims to Columbus Light and Water Department. Is there a motion? Yes, sir. There's nothing under there? So just do B. Thank you, Holly. Okay. Is there a motion for item B?
So moved.
Okay, is that a second for Mr. Richardson? Okay. We have a motion from Ms. Young and a second from Mr. Richardson for item B. Any questions? Any more questions? All in favor? Mr. Richardson, how do you vote? Thank you. Thank you. Moving to item 9C, regular accounts payable claims docket. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll make the second. Oh, thank you, Mr. Richardson. We have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Mr. Richardson. Are there any questions? All in favor? Mr. Richardson, how do you vote? Thank you. Motion passes. Moving to item 10, update on the Hunt Facilities Transition Plan. Mr. Chapman, is that you? You're gonna do it?
I got to click it, everything.
Okay.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm going to just do a presentation of the Hunt Intermediate School updates. I think we started this presentation back in um, sometime in August, September, where I did give you a little bit of this information, but I didn't go through the entirety of the updates. So today we're just going to start with some information about where we are and some of the discussions that we've had. Now, I know initially we've talked about for 25, 26, Hunt being a sixth grade school, which would consist, those upcoming sixth graders would be 201 sixth graders, which would include the band, math, music, library, arts, and drama, um, which approximately is 56,000 square foot with, which is maximum population of 360 and 20 students per classroom. And this is based on the information that was provided with Primara from their facility studies. Now, as we spoke about in the beginning, I spoke that I met with some teachers as well as some former administrators, the current administrators, just to talk about what that should look like moving forward, and just getting some ideas from those individuals to see what their thoughts were as we begin to open Hunt in 25 and 26. And we talked about the fifth and sixth grade students at Hunt for that upcoming year, which will be approximately 112,000 square foot if you consider the annex, giving which would be 246 fifth graders and 201 sixth grade students at Hunt, which has a maximum population of 900 to 1,000 students. And so as we discuss moving forward, trying to have this as fifth and sixth grade students at Hunt, one of the conversations came up, it's going to give you some information as to what everyone thought about having fifth and sixth grade as opposed to just having sixth grade students. And from the principal's point of view, they just talked a little bit about how this could actually, some of the opportunities would be the enhanced collaboration between fifth and sixth graders. Because what we've noticed with fifth graders is that sometimes they feel that they are a little more mature than pre-K through fourth graders, and sometimes they should be secondary. So the principals discussed having this as an enhanced collaboration amongst the fifth and sixth grade teachers, personalized learning, which will give a better understanding of each student's strengths and weaknesses, community building, combining grades can foster a stronger sense of community among students, parents, and educators. Maybe I skipped the page. Did I skip something? Well, I guess the SWAT opportunity that we had, the S&W is not on the slide. But also just the threats. We talked about the threats would be resistance to change, which will be some of the issues that we may face with students being in fifth and sixth grade. Um, the logistical challenges, managing the logistics such as scheduling, transportation, extracurricular activities. Of course, we know that we have some scheduling and transportation that right now with the number of drivers, but having this as a fifth and sixth grade, it'll just be some things that we'll have to do in order to enhance that to make sure that all students are arriving safely. And also the curriculum alignment issues, ensuring that the curriculum meets the needs of both fifth and sixth graders without sacrificing depth and the learning which can be challenging. Now, speaking with the teachers, I met with the fifth grade teachers, and they thought this was a great idea to be with sixth graders. They said the grade level focus would help them with the grade level focus, better collaboration, the vertical alignment, maturity of the students, because sometimes the fifth graders are a little more mature uh, being with than like I said, the pre-K through fourth, but we know sometimes they feel that they're secondary. So giving an opportunity to be with students who are secondary, which would be the sixth graders, will be a better placement for fifth grade students. Peer support for teachers. And just some of the things that they said as I was discussing with them that this could be a possibility. Some of the responses were just sign me up. I'm ready to go. Just let me know. Who do I need to speak to about making sure that this happens? And can we go before the board to speak with you? And when do we start? Just let's make sure that I know, give me enough time to prepare the move before it takes place. Ms. Wilson worked on a potential bail schedule along with the principals, and this is actually what a makeup of a day would look like for fifth and sixth graders. At any time, neither time, the students would interact with one another. One of the responses that I received from Mr. I think Mr. Dupree, when I spoke with him, was that this is nothing new because this is something that the community would have seen before, fifth and sixth grade being at Hunt. So this would not be new or anything that would be something brand new to them. It's something that they would be accustomed to. So you have the fifth and sixth grade schedule, um, as well, as well as what could take place during those times. And also the accountability, how this would affect the accountability. You have the reading and the math and the science. Of course, we know some of those scores will have to go to the other buildings because of the points, but it talks about the proficiency at 100 points, all growth 100 points, the lowest performing subgroups 100 points in each category. So the pros and cons of having a fifth and sixth grade would be grade level needs, accountability, academically and behaviorally, because we know this will be the first time that you have fifth graders and sixth graders together from all schools in one location. Opportunity to mitigate discipline at CMS regarding the sixth grade, the retaining of students, retaining of teachers, hoping that we're able to keep more teachers in the district as well as students. Teachers will be acclimated to the new building and better prepared for the upcoming school year and easier transition for 125 and 26 school year. That was one of the pros, some of the pros. The cons would be the additional personnel. And the reason why I think this part is because if we were to open in the summer instead of the summer based and not January, the additional personnel will be needed. Transportation concerns, the restructured bus matrix, custodial, cafeteria, secretarial, school security. And this is talking about if we were to open in January at the time that this was presented. These are some of the issues that we would face if we were to open. But the pros of opening in um, July, that's why the pros were listed. But I think this has already been determined. So the next steps would be the opening of Hunt in 2025, the timeline of the things that need to take place, what grades to decide to have at Hunt, the partnerships, whether or not that was something that would continue with the colleges and universities. It's a good time to start the conversation on how do we move forward, the community and school meetings that we can discuss with the community of what we will be doing and just ensuring that they have enough time to prepare for the change. The restructuring of schools, discussing the personnel that will have to be placed at Hunt, the CMS strategic plan, which talks about the grade span schools, and the CMS view, which what is the timeline. The Hunt plans and updates. The Hunt Museum to be completed. Furniture will be ordered. Dr. Ellis did meet with us to talk about, for us to get together to look at what has already been purchased and what are some things that we have to work on purchasing for this building. He will meet with the Dean of Education at MUW to discuss partnership, a parent center, and a clothing closet. These are just some images of Hunt.
Yes, Dr. Schumach?
I'm a little bit confused. When was this put together?
This was put together back,
We did this summer, didn't
yeah,
we?
this summer. When I
Okay,
presented it to you.
so okay, we did it in the summer, so this is basically old stuff, right?
It is old information, but it's never been discussed on moving forward with the grade span, the grade levels that would be at Hunt. Um, So it's old as far as the discussions that we've had in order to move, how the direction that we wanted, the direction we wanted
Right.
to go. But the decision of which grades will go into Hunt is the question.
Right, and also I guess back in the summer, we were still thinking we're gonna move in January?
We didn't know.
So why didn't we update I mean, why is that still hanging out there?
That PowerPoint is a PowerPoint that I got from Mr. Chapman. Today, I was going to present that PowerPoint. I spoke with Mr. Chapman at the 9th hour today, and I actually changed the name on the PowerPoint to Mr. Chapman. But yes, it's old information, but I still think that it is good information because we never made a decision as to what grade was going to go into that school. This summer, we talked about it. Mr. Chapman met with the team and the teachers, and I think you guys may have gotten a hard copy of that, but we never really had a chance to have another meeting to discuss it. And so I wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up now so that if we needed to have some discussions in a work session that we're gonna have in January, then we could begin to discuss what it is that you guys want as we move forward.
So are we for sure that the plan is for the fifth and sixth grade to be at Hunt?
Well, if you ask me, I would say yes, and I've spoken with my team, and, you know, everybody's nodding a yes, but of course, the board would have to be in agreement with that as well.
So when you say you've spoken to your team, Doc, who do you mean? Oh, I mean, who all is a part of your team?
The administrative team here at the central office, we met with the teachers. Mr. Chapman has met with the teachers and the principals, so they discussed this. A part of what's not in that PowerPoint, that's why you know, the one that you guys have, I took maybe one or two slides out, but he had the teachers and everybody was involved in, you know, to see what grades would fit best. And at that point, we wanted to bring it before the board and so that you guys could look at it to see, okay, is that something you guys could live with, fifth and sixth grade? If that's not something you guys could live with, tell us what you can live with and we'll make it work.
So what is the game plan as far as meeting with the staff or administration that were affected by the transfer or move?
Well, I wanted to make sure that the board was on the same page before I start talking with the staff. You mean like opening the school up?
Yeah, I'm trying, for in other words, the fifth grade or sixth grade teachers that will be affected, they're gonna have to do transfer, right?
Right, if we're going
Okay,
grade
so
span, right.
My question is that when will they be notified, when you and your subordinates or your team will sit down and start discussing this with them?
If the board okays what we presented tonight with the grades that are gonna be in that building, we're gonna start doing that in January.
Tonight?
I mean, if the board agrees upon it, I mean, it doesn't have to be tonight, but I mean, I had to present it to you guys. Whenever y'all decide, then we'll move forward.
But what I will say, Mr. Smith, about that, the principals, we met with the principals who are those seasoned principals who've been here, and they were definitely on board with that move as far as fifth grade being with sixth grade, because they understand academically how when it comes to planning and the student interaction with the lower grades, they were in support of. There was a lot of information. I think a couple of those slides were taken out that they shared as far as how they felt about that move, and also with the fifth grade teachers. I think I met with every fifth grade teacher collaboratively except one, maybe. I think she was out that day, and they were all excited about that opportunity to be a part of a secondary style school. And actually, one of the teachers used to be a student when it was a fifth and sixth grade building at that time, and she understood and knew exactly what all took place and how she was the one that told me about. They never really interacted with one another as far as sixth graders, but it was a better opportunity for them to be with the secondary. And also, there were two other teachers on that team that actually taught in that building when it was a fifth and sixth grade, so they had a lot of good things to say. So those particular teachers, they were excited about that.
So roughly, what's the enrollment in the sixth grade as we speak?
201. Wasn't it 201?
Yes, it would be for that particular grade level that would be going up would be 201.
And the only students that will be replacing them at the middle school will be the students in the Success Academy, is that correct?
Sorry, say that again.
I said the only students that will be replacing them at the middle school are the students, alternative kid students, is that correct?
You're saying like it's alternative school going to the middle school?
Yeah,
That, I guess, had not been in place as far as a plan, well, not been presented as one of the options. I don't know if it's on there.
It was on.
It's on the
That's
information.
just food for thought. I gave you guys, the board, I gave you guys a sheet of paper.
Right.
And that piece of paper was just food for thought for you guys so that you could look at that, hear about, Hunt tonight, look at that, and then once we got together in January, that would give you guys an idea to kind of look at that to see if that's something that we could live with. If you look down at the bottom, it says that, tells you, kind of what my thoughts were.
so concerning the alternative kids, at the present time, your thought is for them to transfer to the middle school for the upcoming year, is that correct?
Yes, if the board decided to move ahead with the fifth and sixth grade at Hunt, that would be the move for them at the middle school on the sixth grade. Yes, sir.
I have a question, Madam President.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chapman, Dr. Ellis, do we have a plan on how we're going to speak with our parents and moving forward with this? If this is something that we decide that we're going to do, parents and students, matter of fact, and how we're going to do that?
I do. There's a document that you guys have here. This is the start of those conversations. So if you look on this document, it pretty much tells when the community meetings will be held. There will be a series of about 4 community meetings, speaking to the media, putting things in the newspaper. So we put a lot of thought into this, even going out, talking to those stakeholders at the Rotary Club, similar to the things that we did when we were out on the bond referendum, making sure that the community knows what's to come. On this, you will not see anything about this because I haven't gotten the nod of the board to move forward. But once I get the nod from the board, these are just prospective things that will succinctly happen in the community with the community meetings. Of course, this is fluid. If that's why I wanted to give it to you guys so that you would have some time to look at it. And if we needed to make some changes, we could hit the ground running sometimes in January.
Oh, on this paper right here?
Yes,
Is this
ma'am.
it? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It says community
So
meeting
you're saying,
schedule.
okay, so you're saying you would add that to this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. And you already have these, well, you're preparing to schedule these meetings?
Yes, I've already been talking with some of the stakeholders because they've been asking me, when are we going to see you again? And I told them that you guys will be hearing from me early next year. And so we're going to go around. I'm going to go to the city council, just like I did when we were getting the support of the community for the bond, to let them know what's taking place. They'll have a question and answer session.
Okay. And so you all are prepared to meet with the parents of the fifth and sixth grade parents of the district?
If the board
Talk
gives us
one-on-one.
the nod, yes, ma'am, we will be.
Okay. You mentioned a work session. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So when would you have a work session, and who would attend that work session?
Well, it's already, it's a board work session that we have scheduled. I think it's going to be in January, I think.
What day? I think it's the 18th.
18th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So you were saying we would just incorporate questions that we have for this, is that what you're saying?
As a part of that work session where, wouldn't impede anybody's evening, we could possibly, if the board looks at this today and says, okay, this is what we can live with, and then we could move forward with it.
Oh, okay,
That was my thought.
okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Schmidt?
Yeah, thank you. All right, we've been talking about the fifth and sixth grade, but does this move also, once we do that, it's like a domino effect? So are we going to be moving next year? We close Franklin Academy. Are we also we move the kids to Cook and Stokes Beard? Franklin, I'm trying to figure out, okay, the rest of this stuff on the sheet here.
I just really gave that to the board to review, for your review only. And
But
was
is that all happening starting in about, starting next school year? Cook becomes second, third, and fourth grade. Stokes Beers is pre-K through the first grade. Is that also happening?
Those are possibilities. I just wanted you guys to look at those so that we could see if it was something that we could live with. I wanted to make sure that you guys had it, and then you guys
Can
could-
you do can you do the fifth, sixth grade campus without doing the rest of this? I mean, that's what I'm asking. It seems to me this is all of a piece, that all of this has to happen together. I don't know, y'all.
I think it's something that has to be rolled out gradually because we're considering the projects that we have for prior morals. So those are things that we have to consider.
And will we take that up in the work session too? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out the whole schema of this thing, which is extraordinarily complicated, as you're saying, to figure out what is happening when. So if we get the piece of the fifth and sixth grade in place, what kind of effect does it have through the rest of the school district, I guess is my question.
Well, all the
Which
fifth
will-
graders all the fifth graders will go to, because if we're moving grade span by 2027, all fifth graders will go to Hunt. So
Right.
any school that houses fifth graders, they will be now housed at Hunt.
Okay,
So that would,
all right, and then I guess I look forward to the work session. Where is sale in this picture? There's no sale mentioned at all.
no, it was done purposely. So sale is not gonna, because we're gonna start construction. We don't want to disrupt the entire district. And so since we have to 2027 to go grade span, it would be a gradual rollout.
Well, what's the plan? What will go in sale? There are no grades left.
Yeah, we'll discuss that in the work session.
Okay, thank you.
So in other words, on the 18th of January, you'll have a specific recommendation to the board.
I will. I just gave you guys this to start to look at so that over the break, you could kind of, if you had any questions or anything that you wanted to ask, this was just CMSD things to consider so that you guys could consider that as we move forward. So, anybody else have any more questions regarding? And if you have anything that you want me to make sure that we have that we may not have covered after you look at this, certainly let me know and I will make sure that we do that. But I just wanted to give you guys something to start looking at so that we can start to have these conversations. Yes, ma'am.
So just to reiterate, this was something basically to get talking points to the board's eyes, because ultimately they have the decision of whether to close schools, open new schools, where to place grades, how to set the campuses up on your recommendation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you wanted this to get this where they could start for the next month, be thinking about these things, and if they've got questions, broach those to you in between.
That's correct.
Is your mic on?
It is.
I'm Dr. Mr.
And-
Kim. Okay.
One last.
Yes,
excuse me,
ma'am.
One last thing. Would it be possible to resend to us the PowerPoint with the SWOT, just not the OT?
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll have that to you tomorrow morning. I actually have it. It's in my Rolodex of things, so I can send that.
Mr. Richardson, did you have any questions? Is he still there? Mr. Richardson?
I, I could probably bring you guys some ideas, but I wouldn't be able to, I mean, I don't think I'd be in a position to say that we're gonna do this with that building. So what I could do is get a collage of ideas for the board, and then you guys can decide if these are some things that you might want to do to repurpose Franklin in the future. I could do that.
Doc,
Yes, sir.
this just thinking outside the box. I think that's something seriously that you and your team need to be thinking about concerning Franklin, because I can just imagine the calls that you're gonna get concerning Franklin or the school district as to what the plans are, the building for sale. So that's something I think that you and your team need to seriously be thinking about. Because I can assure you that you're gonna get a lot of calls concerning that building and what the school district is planning on doing.
Yes,
And-
sir.
And don't forget about Union. I mean, that's another
Yes,
building.
ma'am.
Any more questions or discussion? Mr. Richardson, anything else? Okay, thank you. Moving to item 11, Superintendent's Annual Report to the Board. Dr. Stanley K. Ellis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Of course, you guys already have this binder. This binder is the superintendent's evaluation instrument that was created by Dr. Denotris Jackson at the Mississippi School Boards Association. This is the same instrument that we used on last year regarding the evaluation of the superintendent. And so it consists of basically 8 indicators with sub-indicators. So as I go through this PowerPoint, I'm going to talk to you guys about some highlighted things, but it was virtually impossible for me to put everything that behind these indicators into this PowerPoint. And so I'm going to reference to some of these, and I'll tell you go to tab 1, and then we could discuss some of those things as I begin to discuss the PowerPoint. So, so right now I'm going to go ahead and start. Okay, of course, this is our vision. Our vision is student-centered, excellence-driven. The mission of the Columbus Municipal School District, we will provide students with the skills necessary to be college, workforce, and enlistment ready by building bridges among students, parents, community, and all district employees. This is just basically a brief introduction and an overview of what's to take place in regards to my role as the superintendent of the Columbus Municipal School District. Emphasis will be placed on the importance of leadership and achievement in the areas of the vision, mission, and the goals of the Columbus Municipal School District. Standard 1. Throughout this PowerPoint, you will see photos of me, you will see photos of stakeholders, you will see some photos of yourselves as we are, things that we've done in the district. And so when you look at Standard 1, it talks about leadership and collaboration. It says provide leadership to the school board. This covers the first indicator, which is 1.1 through 1.9. And so those are the indicators under number 1 in this instrument. And so basically, if you look through under tab 1, you will see some accomplishments related to each subsection. Those things will consist of our celebrations. They will consist of the things from the round table. It will consist of the leadership meetings that we have gone to as a superintendent and a board. You will also see the premier award that we got because we had gotten so many hours as a school board and a superintendent as far as, you know, attending all of the MSBA trainings. I've made it my business since I've been here to try to attend every training with my board, even if it's new orientation. I try to do those as well, and I have done those. Also behind this tab, you will see some information in regards to intercession discussion because these indicators cover a number of different things. And so the second one talks about ensuring that the board is informed about assessment and district accountability. This is done. This is done periodically throughout the year. It's done by individuals that work in my department, from the assistant superintendent to curriculum, as well as myself. When we receive the accountability data, once the embargo is up, then we provide the board with updates. This year, we did that in October. I think last year, we did it in November. Providing the board with the information to make informed decisions. A good example of that is tonight. You guys had questions about some things that we talked about in regards to Hunt, in regards to the closing of some of our buildings. And so I want to make sure, as a superintendent, as I've done, I've given you some information so that we can have some conversations about what that's going to look like. And based upon some of the questions I have, I've done a pretty good job of that because it's making us think deep about some things. And so in our work sessions, we can cover some of those. Student data and usage reports. Each month that I report to the board, I provide this data to you. We always talk about the leading indicators and the lagging indicators, attendance, student attendance. Last month, a couple of you guys had some concerns about why the absentees were high at some of the schools. That's being addressed. I'm working with the school counselor, and she's working on that so that I can have that information to you sometimes in January. I spoke with her on yesterday. I give you guys monthly updates. In addition to giving monthly updates, I try to give you guys weekly updates. But for the most part, I try to give you guys updates each and every day. Whenever there's something that's going to probably cause a phone call or maybe controversial, I try to let the board know. When I find out something, I try to inform all of my board members and make sure that we're all on the same page. Superintendent works with the board to ensure that the strategic plan drive is followed with fidelity. That's what we're doing now. We're having the conversations about what's going to happen, how the transition is going to look as we begin to go grade span by 2027. All right. Provide leadership in the school board. Our board retreats, when we go to our meetings and we have time to bond, we have time to hear the same information. The superintendent will collaborate with the board on the 2025-2026 academic calendar. We're going to do that. That will be coming up very, very soon. Ms. Smith has talked to me today. We had a meeting this morning about what that's going to look like. So you should be receiving that in the near future. The superintendent and the department, in regards to updates, we make sure that you guys are informed about our progress monitoring and where we are regarding data. When we finish analyzing the data for the second semester, end of first semester, at the beginning of the next semester, in our convocation, our mini convocation, I will share that information with you to let you know where all schools are, and you will have a correlated comparison to where they were last year at the end of the first semester and where they are this year at the end of the first semester. So you'll be getting that. That is an example. Leading and lagging indicators, I just spoke to you about that. Teacher attendance, students attendance, teacher is not here, kid is not at school, then they're not getting quality education. Setting the goals for CMSD accountability. Of course, our accountability this year was a B. Our goal this year is ultimately an A, but at the end of the day, we definitely don't want to fall below what the state says that a district shall be. But we're not aiming for that, we're aiming higher than that. All right? 1.4 says the MSBA, that's what's taking place now, the evaluation rubric, that's what I'm providing to you guys today. Standard 2 is centered around continuous improvements. This is under 2.1 to 2.9, and these standards are centered around continuous improvements, and that's what we strive for in the Columbus Municipal School District. In this particular area, it highlights the achievements provided in reports and some of the strengths and the improvements that we've made in our district. So when you look in section 2.1 to 2.9, these are some things that you'll see. You'll see professional development activities, of which somebody spoke about earlier tonight. You'll see things like the administrative retreat that we had this summer with our principals and all of our administrative team, where we did that team building. Those are some of the types of things that you will see. The next one talks about the achievement reports are provided to the board after they are released by MDE, which I just spoke about that. You guys receive those each year. I try to give you a sneak peek once I find out where we are, and I tell you this is embargo, this is preliminary data, and it's subject to change. I provide the monthly updates continually and give you those correlated data points, comparing each last year to this year. Copy of the safety report is an example. That information is there. Chief just gave her report, I think it was last month, and so you'll see some of those types of reports in there. In addition to those reports, you'll see reports from our custodian director, you'll see some from the maintenance director, those types of reports, just as examples. Continuing to talk about continuous improvement, personnel director provides reports to the board. She does that periodically with her reports, but she also provides me with the information that I need to make sure that we are hiring the staff each and every month. The maintenance director, Mr. Little, provides updates each and every month. 2.7 talks about the MSBA annual meeting. As a board and as a superintendent, we've done a really good job of making sure that we put an emphasis on attending those meetings, sitting together, hearing the same types of things that they're saying, and so that's a really good thing. That was just January retreat. That shouldn't be January 2025 retreat. That should be February. That's when we go to our next meeting. But anyways, that's the error. Last year, this is a conference because we want to build capacity in our people. Last year, I attended this conference. I hadn't gone to one in a very long time. This is a kind of like national organization with federal programs, and so I did not go this year, but my two assistant superintendents went, and the federal programs director. It basically talks to them about federal spending, different types of things that may happen. I wanted the two assistant superintendents to attend this year because those are things that you may hear that if you haven't been a federal programs director, you may not necessarily be privy to things like EDGAR and when they're talking about OMB circulars and all those types of things. And so they had an opportunity to go to that meeting this year. Next year, I want to send another person so that they're familiar with the same types of things. All right, standard 3 talks about the organizational structure. And so these are the standards that are in section 3 under tab 3 of your binder, 3.1 to 3.4. And so it talks about showcasing and policies and code of ethics and all these types of things and accreditation. And so what you'll probably see in those areas will be things centered around some of the celebrations that we've had. You'll see something that alludes to the code of ethics. Maybe it could be in the form of an agenda. It may be the document that the staff have to sign. Each staff member has to sign a code of ethics each year to make sure that they understand what that is. We touch on code of ethics at least 2 times a year, at the opening convocation and in the spring convocation. That's very important because people tend to, anytime that we have to terminate people and those types of things, which we don't take it lightly, it always goes back to those codes of ethics. Compliance and accreditation. Of course, our district is in good standings as far as accreditation. You may see a letter from Joanne Malone or somebody from MDE saying that the district is accredited, and we are. But when you start talking about compliance, that's why we have the process standards. I like to tell people the process standards are the Bible of a school district. So if you're in compliance with those, then you're in a good place. And so That's why we had some things done tonight, because we want to make sure that when we know something, then we're going to work to make sure that it's corrected. Superintendent always governs by the board policy. As a superintendent, I realize I serve at the will and pledge of this board, but at the end of the day, my primary job as a superintendent is to make sure that I carry out the policies that have been set forth by this board. And so sometimes people say things to me, I says, I didn't make the rules, don't make me break them. And so a good example of that, I've experienced that this year with this incentive pay that's ending this year. It has been very challenging. And so I had to lean on my policies that's my weapon as a superintendent. And I always tell the people that work with me that anytime that you do anything, go back and reference your policies. If you start doing something outside of your policies, then you're going to find yourself in a place that I can't protect you and anybody else can. So district organizational chart, you'll see that. It's updated yearly and approved by the board. Of course, the Mississippi Code of Ethics is there. All right. Continually talked about organizational structure here. It says process standards. I just talked about that. Mr. Chapman has been working on that. That comes out of his office as far as operations, and so that's what we've been working on. If you look at 3.3, an example of that should be in your binder in section 3. Assigned district accreditation, that comes out in October of each year, and our district is in good standings. Teacher units, projected student enrollments, you'll find a report in there, probably a 2-page report that talks about student enrollment and projections. These are things that we'll be discussing after we get back in January as we begin to look at staffing for the next year. This section is standard 4, which covers things like policy development and implementation. So when we talk about providing leadership in the school board in policy development, these are covered in the standards of 4.1 to 4.8. And just as a highlight, it says highlight involvement in policy development and adherence to recommendations. You'll see some referencing in section 4 to that. The superintendent provides the board with updates periodically with regards to any type of federal laws, if there's anything that's going to affect us, whether it comes directly from the superintendent, business manager, or whoever, then we're making sure that you guys are informed on things that are going to be happening in regards to federal law. 4.2 talks about school board operations and policies. We make sure that this is done in each board meeting. Every action is correlated to a policy. You look on your agenda, it says BBB, whatever that is, it's always correlated to something. All right, standard 4 continuing, talks 4.3, it says all agenda items are correlated to a policy. That's what I just said. 4.3 also talks about applicable policies to each agenda item. That's done. We do a really good job of that. All district policies are placed on the district website. We do a very good job of that, and we update those policies each year based upon the legislative updates that we get from the Mississippi School Boards Association. We usually get those in the spring. All right, 4.5 talks about board policies are updated, and I just said that. 4.8 talks about the superintendent carries out policies set forth by the board. I talked about that. I got ahead of myself, telling you my primary responsibility was to make sure that I carried out the policies that were set forth by this board. Seeks public opinion on proposed and controversial policies. An example could be dress code and cell phone. I don't think dress code is really a big issue now, but one issue that I can tell you that's going to be a hot topic as we move forward in the next year or so is going to be a cell phone. So that's going to be very controversial. But we do seek public opinion on different controversial issues. All right, standard 5 talks about board meeting requirements, meeting established requirements in board meetings. We showcase our compliance with meeting requirements, policies, and record keeping. So the minutes are kept, There are minutes that are kept, and Ms. Woodard has those on the lock and key. Sometimes we have people that, they may want to request minutes, so that we have a way of taking care of that as well. This talks about board meeting notices are always posted. Of course, this is a special call. Whenever we have a special call, the door has to be open and the posting has to be done at a certain time. We've made sure in the agenda, and so that's always done. We do a really good job of that. The minutes are maintained in the vault, as I said before, the superintendent in the superintendent's office, and the agendas are found on the district's website in O agendas. All right. Standard 6 talks about personnel and management. We talk about leadership and personnel management. This will fall under the number 6 tab, which goes from 6.1 to 6.10, and it highlights involvement in personnel processes, leadership, and staff evaluations. If you take a picture of this photo, this was recently taken probably in the last couple of days. At this time of the year, we do like a self-evaluation of all my staff. Everybody's required to do a self-evaluation. They evaluate themselves. They tell me how great they are, and then we go back and we sit down and we talk about, if you're so great, then what does this look like? So we have those conversations, and at this time, I was talking to the CFO, and we were going through an evaluation, and so that's a good example. I'm not just doing that, but all of the people that work in the office, we're doing that. They were due on, I think, the 13th, but they're done. We provide overall leadership to our district employees. This is done each and every day through the work that we do that goes beyond, and me as a superintendent, I provide leadership that goes beyond the boardroom and the walls of a traditional school because I realize as a superintendent, this is a job that it's a 24-hour job. It's not a job that you can put your hat on and say, I'm going to take it off because I'm going to the grocery store. You're always the superintendent, so that's a good thing. All right, superintendent is evaluated using the evaluation instrument. That's done now. We're going through that process. Personnel management, which is very important. All job descriptions are reviewed and revised annually. This is very important because sometimes what you find is that individuals are doing jobs that are overlapping other jobs. This year, I'm going to be looking at some of those job descriptions to kind of refine and see what jobs may be kind of overlapping some of the things or some additional things that people may have picked up that may not necessarily be on their job descriptions. Of course, the organizational charts are approved by the school board each year. That's typically done summer before school starts. Then it says, see strategic plan regards to the recruitment plan. Ms. Evans does a pretty good job of going through those things with the board. Provide salary schedules. You will find those under the number 6 tab. All district staff are evaluated utilizing the Mississippi Educator and Administrator Professional Growth. That's done. When they're evaluated, I sit in with the assistant superintendents, and we go through this. Even when we go through the data, we make sure that we explain to them, this is that thing that ties back to the growth rubric. So that's important. Standard 7, which is very important, talks about financial management. We've done a pretty good job, and we've been a pretty good steward of the district's money here. So now we're in the process. This week we have the auditors here, and we're in the audit right as we speak now. They're here in the building. But this is the standard that's in Standard 7, and it goes from 7.1 to 7.11. Talks about showcasing collaboration in budget development, financial reports, and audit processes. Anytime, even if we have an audit finding, that is always shared with the board. Once this audit is over, then the individuals that conduct that audit will provide us with a report that will go to this board. In addition to that, the person that's conducting the audit comes to the board to provide any clarification questions that you guys may have regarding the audit. Superintendent collaborates with the CFO and the leadership team to determine budgetary needs. Now, this is done all the time. We're always assessing to see where we are regarding to budgetary needs. There's probably not a day that I don't talk to the CFO to ask her, something. I may say, are we good today? Because you need to know that. You need to know where you are financially. And so we've been doing a pretty good job of that. It says all funds are allocated in the manner that they were approved. When funds are allocated, we have to make sure that they're allocated in a way that the board approved those funds. And if there's any changes to that, then we make sure that the board is aware of any type of amendments to those. The CFO provides an annual update to the trends. You'll find that fund trends that you guys get there every month, but you should find that in your packet in section 7 in regards to fund trends in our district. The CEO provides the superintendent and the board with audit updates. You'll see maybe an example of an audit update that we've gotten that's provided to you in section 7. The CFO provides the board with a detailed financial report each month at the direction of the superintendent. And so we go through those financial reports. I do with the CFO in my office. She prints those out. We go through them. If I have questions, I ask. Something looks kind of out of place. I says, where did this come from? Maybe something that I missed. And she'll explain to me, and then we provide that to the board. This talks about, Standard 8 talks about relationships with the board, staff, and community. I think this is probably one of the, I look at a whole lot of other standards on here. There's 8 standards on here, but this is the last one. And I think this is probably the most important standard that, as a superintendent, that is important, because you definitely have to develop relationships. You got to have relationships with your board members. You got to have relationships with your staff. And more especially, you got to have relationships with your community. And so I want to talk about these. It's 8.1 through 8.7 that talks about these different types of relationships. And so it says it highlights respect, cooperation, input in processes, media communication, and stakeholder engagement. These are all things that I have to do as a superintendent. This is done on a daily basis. Sense of respect. At the end of the day, regardless of, what somebody says to me or how they say it to me, I'm always going to be respectful. Regardless of how they approach me, that's important. I always tell my people that work with me that we run a business. And so you need to be able to greet your people as you are running a business. And so that's what we run. We're just in the business of students in a school. The superintendent is always respectful to the board and all stakeholders, always. No board members is going to tell you that I've been disrespectful, and not a stakeholder is going to tell you that I've been disrespectful to them. That's just not what I do. The superintendent is actively involved in community-based organizations. I spend most of the extra time that I have whenever something is going on. Sometimes I can't be everywhere at one time. Sometimes I have to go to one place for a few minutes and then somewhere else, and kind of divide the time out. But my assistant superintendents are really good with helping me to make sure that we have representation in many other places that is required. The superintendent engages in all staff, encourages all staff to follow the chain of command. That's very important when you look at that org chart. I tell people you have to understand the pecking order. And so when people come to me with different things, a lot of times I tell them, I says, hey, have you gone to the principal? That's probably the person that you need to talk to first. That's your first line of defense. Have you talked to Mr. Chapman? Have you talked to the athletic director? And so you have to remind people of that. And so they're going to continue to do it, but you just have to always remind them. It's challenging, but you just have to remind them. If you look at 8.3 through 8.4, the superintendent seeks input from all stakeholders, utilizing surveys and open discussions. We did a lot of open discussions, and I found out a lot of information when we were going around last year on the bond referendum, which proved to be very positive for me and gave me a different perspective as a superintendent in regards to the community. But we also conduct surveys, and so in your package, you will probably see a survey from federal programs. You may see a copy of a survey from intercession from the parents. We put that out to make sure that we captured the information from the parents from the last intercession, and so you'll see things like that. But federal programs, they're required to do those surveys each year. All right. This is another, continues to talk about social media, which is very important. Public Relations gave a presentation about a month or so ago to the board talking about the importance and how you track that type of stuff and the clicks and all those types of things. So, but social media is very important. It plays a very important part of everything that we do. We try to put things out when things are going on with our students in regards to sports, arts, all those types of things. 8.5 to 8 points are placed on the district's website for public access. So all of our policies on the district website. We also have hard copies of those policies in the superintendent's office. Not all schools, but some of the schools have CEC, Community Engagement Council, which was formerly called P16. That's for stakeholders, particularly with schools that are in some type of school improvement. All right, district report card is posted on our website. We're very proud of that, and that district report card should be inside of the packet that you have. All right, external district funding. We've got a nurse grant, which equals about $425,000. We got an MCOPS grant for $30,000. That's a multi-year grant. Of course, the nurse grant is multi-year as well. It's divided over a couple of years. Healthy Schools grant for $1 million that we received in conjunction with the county school, but that'll be a multi-year grant. A safety grant that we're working on right now. Same people that I work with on this MCOPS grant, they're going to be working with us to ensure that we get this $500,000 for a safety grant. And there's a career development grant. That's the grant that you see on the board agenda. I told you I was going to go and speak to those guys. That's what that's centered around. And so that's where we are. All right, in conclusion, these are just summaries of achievements and contributions during the first year and a half that I've been here in the Columbus Municipal School District. I arrived in the Columbus Municipal School District on June 19th of 2023. I've completed 1.5 years of a 3-year contract that will end on June 18th, 2026, which is 18 months from today or 546 days from this date. But I would like to express my commitment to the ongoing improvement here in the Columbus Municipal School District. I appreciate the opportunity to serve and the experience that I have gained here in the Columbus Municipal School District. It's been incalculable. I can't tell you how much of a better leader I am since I came here in 2023 in June. I've gotten a lot of tools in my box that I did not have in my box, and so these are some tools that will serve me well beyond the superintendency. And so I'm very thankful and grateful to be able to serve here, and I can't really express it. But I look forward to continuing to do the work here with my board and community to continue to build strong relationships that improve student and community outcomes. All right, I got this here. I had this last year. I always keep this with me. This is something I got from a barber shop when I had hair a long time ago. And so my barber gave it to me in Jackson, Mississippi. He says there are 4 types of people: those who are average, those who never make mistakes. I know we know some of those people. Those who make nothing but mistakes. We know those people too. And we got some people that don't do anything at all. And so we have some of these people that are around now. And so we're going to take care of those people because those people don't stick around. All right? All right, thank you so much. She's gonna start you can go ahead and start a reflection. And the reflection is just a collage of photos on things that we've done since I've been here. You'll see many of you guys are in some of those photos. So that's going to continue to roll. It's like on a revolving deal, and it'll just start over. Again, I would like to thank you guys so much for providing me the opportunity to serve as your superintendent. You guys have anything that you need to ask me, any clarifying points?
Any questions? Anybody?
I've tried to keep my nose clean since I've been here in Columbus, and I try to stay out of the way. I'm going to continue to do that. That's just who I am. Thank you so much.
Dr. Schmidt has one.
I did have
ma'am.
one thing. Could we get a copy of the PowerPoint?
Yes, ma'am,
Thank
I
you.
will. I typically don't like to give a PowerPoint out before I present it.
Of course.
Yes,
Because we're
ma'am.
all looking there instead
Yes,
of
I
here.
am. All
Gotcha.
right. I'll make sure that you get it. You'll have it in the morning. All right? And I'll send it to all you guys. I'll even send you the slideshow as well. All right? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. Anything else? Anybody? Nope. Okay. Moving to item 12, adjourn. Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith, and I'll make the second. Any more questions, concerns? All in favor? Motion passes. Have a great night. He's off.